What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. It's Ars. Let's get productive. So today I want to talk about a new VST that just dropped. Now it comes from Superstar O. Superstar O is a producer who's very well known in the producer community. He has a lot of different VSTs out via industry kits. And one of the VSTs that he released a while back was called Starlight. Now, I never got a chance to check out Starlight. It always looked a little interesting to me, but I never took the time to check it out. But recently I just saw an ad for Starlight 2. And I'm not even gonna hold you, the ad was fire. The ad alone made me wanna check out the VST. I didn't know what the sounds were gonna sound like. I wasn't even 100% sure what kind of VST it was, but the ad was really dope, really well put together, and it made me wanna check this thing out. So today we're gonna be checking out Superstar O and Industry Kit's newest VST, Starlight 2. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Industry Kits, Starlight 2. Let's see what this thing is all about. So, as always, I have Logic queued up, and this is Starlight 2. Now, right off the bat, you can see a little bit of what I was talking about the fact that they added a unique flair to their UI design. I love how this thing looks. But before we get into it, I just want to talk a little bit about what this thing actually is. Now, Starlight 2 is a Rompler-based VST, sample-based VST. A lot of you hip-hop producers are obviously familiar with that. It comes loaded up with, I believe, 150 different presets right out the gate, but they also have an expansion pack that came out at the same exact time as this VST. That's a free expansion pack. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. I mean, you might as well say it comes with way more than 150 different presets with that free expansion pack. If you head on over to the website, you can see a little bit of what you have going on here. Now it says this VST is $40. I'd say personally it's $40 well spent. They have a lot of really cool, really good sounds in this thing. Now saying right here, you will find an incredible selection of presets and sounds that are sure to inspire you and pull you into another dimension of creativity. I have to say there are some really dope sounds in this thing, specifically the expansion pack, but we'll get into that in a second. It has animated graphics that makes this instrument not only great to listen to, but also great to look at for hours on end in the studio as well. And there's also some non-animated options as well. We'll get into that when we dive into the UI design a little bit. And new presets monthly. And that's one of the main reasons I wanted to review this VST, is because I feel like the way Superstar O and Industry Kits decided to dive into this thing is, at least from appearance, it's not going to be a one-off. Like, it's not going to just be a VST that they release and then they just let it ride until they release the next VST and then it just gets forgotten about. It seems like they're going to plan on making this their main powerhouse VST that they're going to pour a lot of time into and release a lot of different expansion packs and sounds. Kind of like how Initial Audio has Heat Up 3 and they're constantly releasing expansion packs. If they actually do go that route, and I feel like they could go that route with a VST like this, this could be a really dope VST because Superstar O himself makes really good sounds. Like, he is really good in the sound design department. So let's dive into this instrument and just check out what's happening. Now, if you look at the UI design, I don't even really need to say much about that. It's fire. It's a dope UI, top to bottom, side to side. Everything you're seeing on the screen right here is really high quality. I love the resolution of it. It's very sharp, very clean looking. You got this graphic display that's super inspiring and super cool looking. It kind of feels like an animated screensaver. This is something you could just stare at for a while. And if you're creating music, it is a little bit inspiring to have something like this. Now, if you look down here at the bottom, you have these 4 buttons right here. And if you click on one of these buttons, it will change the UI design and you'll get a different graphic. And if you click on these 2, you have a couple of still images. So you have this one right here that looks like Saturn and some space dust around it. Then you have another one right here that looks like an exploding moon heading to Earth. But the whole idea is that you're in this spaceship, and I like the way they incorporated the idea of Starlight and the whole space theme into having these different animated visuals as well as these stills. Now, the stills are really important because if you have a computer that has a hard time dealing with some of the more graphic images like this one and then this red one here, you can always click on the still image, and that'll make it a little bit easier on your graphics card so things aren't so stagnant. One of the things I will say about this VST since I've been using it is there's a lot of sounds, there's a lot of things going on inside of this thing, and it can be a little choppy sometimes going through your presets, going from sound to sound. I did notice that sometimes it took a little while for certain presets to load up. And when I was playing certain presets, if I had the graphics going, sometimes it was a little choppy the way certain presets were playing. So hopefully maybe that's something that could be fixed in an update, but it's not like so terrible or so crazy that it takes me out of the production experience. It's still a really dope VST. And like I said, you can always put on the still images and you can get that going. If we dive a little bit deeper onto what's happening inside of the VST via effects, some really cool things happening here. You have a lot of standard stuff, but the way it's presented on the VST looks really cool. If you look right over here, you have your gain knob, you have a pan knob, and you have a damage knob, and that's where you're gonna get your distortion on some of your sounds. You have a bit crusher knob right here. You have a width knob, and that's gonna help you widen your sound or narrow that sound a little bit, that sound field. You have your glide knob right here, and you have your filter section. You have a high and low pass. You have your attack, your decay, your sustain, and your release, so your ADSR standard stuff. Right underneath that, you have your delay section. And over here on the left, you have your reverb section. On top of the reverb section, you have panner, wobble, and filtron. And this is where you're going to be able to get some interesting movement to your sound and do some really cool things. Right down here is like your main menu, so you can click on the home button, and that's obviously always going to take you back home to this main screen. You have an EQ button, and this thing comes built in with an EQ. You have a phaser button, so you can add some phaser effects to your sound. You have a chorus button, and you have a built-in arpeggiator. And you can draw in those arpeggiated notes and play around with the steps, the speed, the octave, and the offset. Really cool stuff. You can really dive into the sound design and get some really cool things happening here. Now, right underneath all of that, you have your presets bar, and you click on that, and it's gonna bring you to your presets menu. Now, one thing I'll say, at least it's something that I've noticed, I don't know if I'm missing it somehow, but with all of these effects and all of these possibilities to do some really cool things to the sound, it would be really nice if you could save your presets. You have your factory menu here with a whole bunch of different sound genres, everything from flutes to guitars to keys, and you can dive into all of that stuff. And right under here, you have your Planet hardware expansion with those sampled analog synth sounds. And once you start playing around with all of that stuff and, you know, adding your own effects and doing different kinds of things, you might want to save that preset. And one of the things that I noticed is that there isn't anywhere for me to save the presets. There isn't even any place for me to favorite any of my sounds. So if I have sounds that I really like, I can't like click on the star and have a favorites menu or anything like that. I kind of just have to remember it. That's a bit of a letdown. So maybe that's something that can come in an update. But as it is, again, another thing that's just kind of nitpicky, but it's not the end all be all for me. But yeah, that's basically it as far as what's happening here on the screen with this VST. Really cool. I'm loving the design. Now, what I want to do is I want to jump into going through some of the presets in this thing. I know that's what you guys care about. I know that's what you really want to know, is how the presets sound inside of this thing. Now, if we head over here to the presets, you'll notice that you have your factory presets, and it comes loaded up with everything from arps to bells to brass, choir, guitars, keys, leads, organs, pads, plucks, strings, synths, bass, all kinds of different sounds inside of this thing. And every category has a whole bunch of sounds in it. So you're not getting like skimped on the sounds. You're really getting a lot of different sounds to play around with, and that's really cool. The factory presets inside of this thing sound dope, but personally, the free expansion pack that it comes with, Planet hardware, and you see you have the Moog synthesizer, you have Prophet 6, you have a few different categories here. The sounds that come inside of this thing are really dope. Playing around with some of the sounds inside of this thing has been very, very dope. So we're gonna go through some of the presets. I'm gonna start with factory presets. We'll play around with a few of the sounds in some different categories, and then I'll switch over to the free expansion pack. We'll play around with some of the sounds there, hear what that sounds like, and then we'll move on from there. So let's just get started with bells. Let's hear what some of these bells sound like. All right, and let's go over to flutes. Let's hear some of these flutes. This flute is actually a flute that I used in the beat I made for the cook up, and you'll hear that later on. I like that one. We can go over to guitars. Let's check out some of these keys. Ooh, that's a nice one. And that's some keys. Now there's a lot of different categories here in the factory presets. I'm not gonna go through every single category because as you can see, if I go over to bass, there's a ton of different bass sounds. It's just a lot to go through. I wanna get into the Planet hardware category because I feel like what they did was in the factory presets, they gave you sounds that were really straightforward that you can kind of like tweak a little bit and make them your own. But in the Planet hardware, which is their free expansion pack that you can pick up whenever you pick this up, it seems like the sounds are a lot more creative and a lot more interesting. There's way more nuance. So we could check out some of that stuff. Some really cool Moog basses here. This one is the Poly Brute category. This one is the Phantom category. And as far as Planet Hardware goes, the Phantom category is where you have more of an assortment of different types of sounds as opposed to like mostly bass or mostly synth. It's more of an assortment that's happening here. I love this flute. Fire. So yeah, that's some of the sounds that come loaded up inside of this thing. Like I said, they claim that they're going to be releasing new sounds monthly. I don't know if that means they're going to be giving away some more free expansion packs or they're going to be expansion packs that are sold. I don't know if they're going to go the initial audio route and just have a whole bunch of different expansion packs at different price points for different genres. And I don't know how it's going to go, but I do think with using Starlight 2 as the engine for these sounds, they could come up with some really creative things. I think the best thing they could do is figure out a way to add a save presets option. That would be really, really useful with a VST like this, especially if they're going to be updating the sounds or at least having some kind of favorites menu. That would be really, really dope. But I love how clean the look is. I love how clean some of these sounds are. And I really love the fact that they released the Planet Hardware expansion pack as a free expansion pack. I personally think that makes or breaks this VST. I think if they released this VST without the Planet Hardware expansion pack, with just the sounds that are in the factory presets, it would still be good, but at a $40 price point, for 150 or so presets, I feel like $40 might have felt a little steep for that. I think if they would have priced it at like $30 or maybe even a little bit less, then it would be 100% amazing, especially if they're going to be updating it with expansion packs monthly. It doesn't need to be that expensive because you're going to be selling the expansion packs. So we're going to stay updated with sounds and you're going to be making money through the expansion packs. So I think if they just had the factory presets and no sounds and they were charging $40, it might have felt a little steep to me. But the fact that they have the factory presets, which have some really cool sounds in it, but then they also give you the Planet Hardware expansion pack, which has a whole bunch of really interesting sounds in it, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So that was a really good move. Whoever came up with that idea came up with an awesome idea. But what I want to do right now is I want to get right into the cook-up. I want to show you guys a beat I made using Starlight 2. So right over here, I have the beat queued up and we're going to play it. Now, every single sound, with the exception of the drums and the 808, there's an 808 inside of this beat. Every single sound, with the exception of the 808 and the drums, is coming out of Starlight 2. So every melodic sound you hear inside of this beat is all Starlight 2. So let's check this beat out and see what it's all about. So that's it. That's the beat I made using Starlight 2. Now, as you can hear in the beat, one of the reasons I like this VST so much is the assortment of sounds are so different that you can make any type of beat you want to make. Like I could have very easily went the trap route and just made a trap beat, added some 808s. That was the type of beat I wanted to make with this VST. And just from hearing some of the sounds, it kind of inspired me to go a different route, especially some of the guitar sounds. It kind of made me want to go a different route, a bit softer, but not in an R&B kind of way. So I ended up making an Afro beat. And the fact that I can be inspired to do something different than I might have done with another Rompler or another VST, to me, speaks a lot to the type of sounds that are inside of this thing. But let me know what you guys think. Just from what you hear here, do you feel like this is something you can see yourself added to your arsenal? How do you feel about the price point? Do you feel what I was saying a little bit, that if they just came out with the factory presets, $40 might have been too much? But the fact that you're getting this VST 150 presets plus an additional 111 presets for free via the expansion pack, do you feel like $40 is a good price point? Just from what you hear in general, do you think this is a good VST? If there's any producers out there that have the first version of Starlight and you're hearing this version, or you have this version of Starlight, the second version, is this better than the first version of Starlight? Because I don't have the first one. So I'd love to hear what you guys think, if you think that it's better. But yeah, as always, leave it down in the comment section below if there's any VSTs that you'd like to see me review on this channel. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you can stay notified anytime I drop a new video. And I catch you guys on the next one.